Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast episode, would you believe it, 199. So one away from the magic 200, which Ron and I will be recording this weekend. And, if you've got any specific questions for us for that episode, please do let me know. Otherwise, we'll just be sort of talking about how the running scene has changed since I started the pod, which obviously started on my own way back in 2019. And I'll possibly even touch on how the whole trail running scene and the running scene, from my perspective, what I know of it, has changed since I have been running. Because, it's been a while. Sometimes I still think of myself as kind of, like I haven't been running that long. And then I remember how old I am and it's like, oh, shit, been a while. Anyway, I digress. Please do let me know if there's anything that you would like us to talk about in that podcast. DM me on any of the socials, either under Peak Endurance Coaching or Isabel Ross, or email me, isabel@peakendurancecoaching.com.au, whatever you find the easiest. And you may be able to see, if you're watching the YouTube video, I have got the two medals here. This is from Oxfam and Buffalo. So this is where I will be hanging the 12 in 12. You can't see them then. The 12 different medals eventually. Although I'm not really sure we get one for the prom challenge. So for the prom 100K. So maybe, I believe sometimes people make their own medals. Like someone wants to let me know how I can go about doing that. Not that I'm normally into medals. I don't actually normally want medals, because what am I supposed to do with them? But this is a little bit different, so I do. So if anyone's got any ideas or knows how to make me one, just once again, DM me, email me, whatever you want to do. You've got my phone number, ring me, I guess. Anyway, so today's interview is with Joffrid. And Joffrid is one of my clients. So full disclosure there, Joffrid Mackett is one of my clients. But that does not take away from the fact that I probably would be interviewing him regardless if he had still gone on to achieve this, So he has got the Australian record for the walk, 48 hours. We talk about that and touch on a little bit, of what we did in training, but not a lot. Basically, he trained a lot of walking, but the thing is, I also had him doing run training, so still doing speed work and all those sorts of things, even though he was training for a walk, because getting fitter is getting fitter. And basically, he also still wants to do some runs. I mean, he's meant to be doing Canberra Marathon, but seriously, that's going to be tough going. So, but he will do it. So I was still training him with running as well as walking, as well as strength work. Joffrid did a lot of strength work, and you need to be strong for the walk. Like I say it in the pod that I challenge you to walk fast, and give it a crack. It's a lot bloody tougher than you realize. It's really hard work. And one of my other clients, Lisa, who did the 24-hour track running race at Canberra at the same time that Joffrid was out there, she had, she achieved her goal, which was absolutely awesome, and she surpassed it by a bit. But she was doing walk training as well, because like I did when I did the 24-hour track races, I had walk breaks, and just like I got, and Lisa did do too, is regimented walk breaks. And it just, you can't run for 24 hours nonstop. If you're doing a trail race, you're going to be walking the hills. Well, you're on the flat. You don't have that luxury of breaking it up with hills, so you've got to still walk. Anyway, so Joffrid talks about his awesome record and his amazing achievement, and it just blows my mind that he was able to do that. But like, I cannot understand it. And you know what? It's awesome because, Joffrid is a few months. Let's not give him too much. A few months younger than me, only a few months. He's December and I was September. Younger than me. And it just goes to show, older athletes, we've got this, we can do this. So if you're getting on in your years like the rest of us, and like even if you're young and listening to this, it will happen to you eventually. I can guarantee it. Well, pretty much, hopefully guarantee it. But basically, we all get older. you may be young and enjoying that prime. We were all there once, but once again, we all age. It's nature, isn't it? And we may not love the effects, but we can work with it, just like Joffrid has, and he has achieved his goal, and it is absolutely awesome. And, you know, as a coach, like, I just get so much satisfaction and happiness out of seeing Joffrid achieve his goal, Lisa at the same race achieving, like, it absolutely makes my day. I don't think people can fully appreciate it unless they've been in that kind of teacher or coaching role to know how that feeling that you get when someone you're working with gets their goals. Or when I was a teacher, for instance, when I'd be teaching a kid maths and they'd finally get it and you would just see their face change, you know, just that moment of time when what you're trying to pass on to someone else. And it's just amazing. And that's what I do it for, you know, because I love helping people achieve their goals and working with them to achieve it. And it's just so satisfying and really gives my life a lot of meaning. So, yes, so that's that. Enjoy that interview. But I just also wanted to say, you know, I opened up my emails this morning, and it was every week I get this email that updates me on how my podcast is doing around the world. I was just cleaning my glasses so I can actually read my phone. And, you know, all the countries that it's doing all right in and blah, blah, blah. And I had 2 reviews and I'm very excited. So I'm going to read them to you. So great podcast for endurance running, 5 stars. I find Isabel and all her guests very knowledgeable for all things involved with endurance and trail running. Highly recommend listening to these podcasts for all the information required to get through long distance events or just long hikes. I've also done an 8-week ultra specific program, and I can't recommend her highly enough to get an ultra event. And that's from Tim H 25. So thanks, Tim. I know who you are and I really appreciate that. And then the other podcast is Loving Isabel's podcast, 5 stars again. I started listening to the Peak Endurance. No, that wasn't the right one. Where am I? I'm so good at this, aren't I? This is it. Okay, because I've already read that other one. That was from Linda Fisher. Oh, I don't know what that means. I think that was a typo. I'm an older runner, in brackets 61, who has done endurance sports for most of my life. I'm constantly learning new information and training strategies from Isabel's wealth of knowledge, experience, and general grit. I highly recommend this podcast and look forward to more. Megan Canfield's episode was particularly interesting for me. Thank you. And that says, bye, Alex. That's the name, bye, Alex. So thank you very much. That was 5 stars as well. And I just realized when I was looking at this that there was one that I may have missed. I will just open it up again a while ago. No, it's gone. It has gone. That isn't that. You know what? It's always the way, isn't it? You think you find something and then it's gone. It was from Dr. somebody in India, and I've forgotten. Anyway, I thought I had it saved. I didn't. So thank you so much to both of you for those awesome reviews. Like, honestly, like, just opening those emails this morning, got up early to go for my run, and I'm feeling, you know, with my coffee, and I saw that and just, you know, made my day. And so that's why I thought I would share it with you, the listener, and so that you know how easy it is to write these reviews, and that it is possible, and that I do see them and I do read them. And it makes a huge difference to me personally, but it also makes a huge difference to the podcast, like I've said before, that it helps to put it out there. More people see it. It moves it up the ratings, which means I can get a greater variety of people on the pod. I mean, in saying that, you know, I've gotten some amazing people on the podcast, you know, Dean Karnazes and Matt Fitzgerald, and, you know, the list goes on. I've had some awesome people. And some people, no matter how good the podcast is, I guess they just don't reply. Like, there's certain people I've approached and they just don't reply when I message them, and I don't know why, because I write the same kind of a message to the people who do reply. So it's not within the message itself, I'm sure. Sometimes people just, I don't know. I don't know. I literally don't know. But I do my best to get on, you know, high profile names and a variety of different people. Obviously, at the moment, I'm doing a little less of the interview stuff, more sort of just general information, because, you know, from my perspective, I love hearing interviews with great people, but it's not always something that I can personally relate to as much, because it's like, well, I can't do that. So sometimes it's also good to hear just general information for the general runner. Anyway, let me know what you think, whether you agree with me or not. You don't have to, obviously, but if you're listening, you probably do. So anyway, I really hope you enjoy this podcast with Joffrid, this interview. He is a great guy. All the links that we talk about will be in the show notes, and also links to Peak Chocolate. Don't forget, 15% off with the code Isabel Ross, and the Flex Beam, 10% off with the code Isabel Ross 10. I have been using that every day since since the latest 100K, and oh my God, it has helped so much. And I have to say, I was commenting to Ron yesterday when we were out running, I'm not having, like, normally the start of every run, my calf plays up really badly, and I've used TENS machines and pneumatic thingies that you put on your legs, and all sorts of stuff. And I'm constantly doing stuff, and just since I've started using that red light therapy on my calf, finally, I am not having to stop every 2 minutes, well, 1 minute practically, it seems like, at the start of the run, to, give it time, because it's a weird thing. It's not like stretching helps it. It's like I have to just stop running and just, I don't know, let it stop hurting, because nothing helps. But I'm not getting that anymore. And the only thing I've done differently is use the Flex Beam. So that's all I can put it down to. So I'm stoked, obviously, because it's been really annoying for a few years and sort of taken away from my love of running, because it's hard to run when you know the first hour of each run is going to be painful, and not just painful. Like I'm used to pain. I wouldn't say I don't mind pain, but I can live with pain. But this is a discomfort that I can't even run through. I don't know how to explain it. And when I have tried to run through it, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. It doesn't warm up. So it's one of those ones that I have to stop. Whereas now I'm not getting that. I still feel a bit of tightness in my calf, but tightness compared to what I was getting, that's nothing. So anyway, enough waffle. What I'm saying is I highly recommend the Flex Beam, the red light therapy. Like, honestly, can't recommend it highly enough. And I use it on my calf, and I just, I like Dr. Zulia said, I put on my lower back and on the sacrum and do all those different things. So anyway, use that code. And I look forward to next being in your ears when I am doing episode 200, which, is pretty darn exciting for me. Not many podcasts actually get to 200 out of all the podcasts that start. And I'm pretty bloody excited, and I'm pretty proud of myself. And if you've got anything that you'd like us to talk about, please do let me know. All right. Thank you once again for joining me on this pod. I was going to say this adventure, but I don't know. This interview adventure that's coming up now with Joffrid. Enjoy. I'm sure you will like him and find him as entertaining as I do. He is a great guy who has achieved a phenomenal achievement. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I don't like using words twice, but you know what I mean. Who has achieved something quite remarkable from a record that has stood for 13 years or so. So well done, Joffrid. And check out the links for everything that we talk about. And I'll catch you all in episode 200. Bye. Hi, Joffrid, and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast.
Yeah, g'day, Izzy. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad at all, thanks.
That's good to hear. I mean, you've had a big couple of weeks, haven't you?
It's it's been pretty full on. Weekend before last, or last weekend, but yeah, getting over it a little bit now. I managed to get some shoes on Monday, so that was good.
And what's that? That's a week later, basically, isn't it? And you're able to get shoes on. That's amazing. So should we quickly, for people who don't know, what we're talking about is Joffrid was at the 48-hour track championships in Canberra, and you set that was Camille. She set the world record. You came second to Camille, and you set an Australian record.
I did, yes. The Australian 48-hour track walking record.
That's right. Yes. And which was absolutely amazing. I don't know why I'm trying to bother without my glasses. So that was 294.973 kilometers.
Yes.
That's huge.
I've only really just started to think that I wish I'd gone a little bit further and got the 295.
You were very close to 295, weren't you?
Very great.
But that's all right. That's a challenge for next time. Now you have done the 48 hour before as a run and got less kilometers than that, haven't you?
Yeah, correct. This was my my fifth time.
Yeah.
First time was 2018. I did 204, 276 the year after. Went a bit soft the year after that and did 200 and I think 19. And then last year and this year I walked.
Yeah. So what made you want to swap from the running to the walking?
So the first couple of years I did the 48 hour, or the first year I did the 48 hour walk run. I noticed that there's always a few people walking.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a bit odd. Didn't really know what they were doing. They kept talking about a thing called a centurion, which piqued my interest a little bit. So that's walking 100 miles in 24 hours. So I didn't really know what that was. But there was a couple of ladies, Linda and Heather
I
Christensen.
remember them. I've been at Canberra before, and I remember I was amazed by their pace.
Well, I did the first year I did 204, and they were walking and did 230 something. It was just astounding, and I learned a lot from just watching them. And the main thing was you don't accumulate any kilometres sitting down in your tent.
Exactly.
So anyway, so I thought last year I thought why not have a go at getting a centurion, and I was pretty naive last year in my goals, but I managed to achieve that one.
What do you mean you were naive in your goals?
I didn't fully appreciate how hard it was to walk 100 miles in 24 hours. So I went into last year thinking I'd do that, and then I'd just keep on walking. And my goal last year was I thought maybe I could see if I could walk more than my longest run.
Yeah.
And about 10 minutes before the event, I was talking to a guy called David Billett, who's done quite a few of these centurions. And he told me that he was going for the Australian record. And I asked him what that was, and he said it was 280. And so I didn't tell him that I thought that I was just going to, on my first go, walk more than 276. So I got to the end of the first 24 last year, and then I sat down for 9 hours.
Oh, wow. I knew you sat down. I didn't realize it was that long.
I was knackered. And then I took a bit of concrete, hardened up a bit, and ended up doing 206. So the first year I walked further than my worst ever run.
Yeah.
But so this year I had a bit more of an understanding of what to expect.
So what is the difference within your body that you're feeling between walking and running? Because you would think, oh, surely walking's easier, but it's not necessarily, is it?
No, there's a couple of things. I don't normally get blisters. So in the 48-hour runs, I used to get swelling and bruising of my feet, but not really blisters. Within my first, it's going to sound like I'm name dropping. I'm not. I'll reach out to people to get their information. So when I first decided to have a crack at the walk last year, I reached out to Justin Schultz, who again has done a lot of these, and he sort of gave me some guidance. Walk 5 kilometres, 8-minute Ks, twice a day for 2 weeks, and I thought, well, that sounds easy. I went out on the first 5 Ks commuting to work. I could barely. I don't think I managed 8-minute Ks, and I had
really hard to do.
Well, and I had blisters on both my heels.
Yeah.
And so I think the first thing that's a challenge is the damage it causes to my feet. That seems pretty pretty common. I think a lot of people seem to get feet because your feet are in the contact with the ground more.
Yeah,
I
true.
guess.
Yeah.
And then just the fact that you can't stop.
Yeah.
So in that first 24 hours, I didn't stop at all. The last year,
Yeah.
other than getting sick, but I didn't have any rest stops.
Yeah. So and that's the difference, because with the running you're going at a faster pace, so you're able to have the occasional stop.
Yeah.
But the walking, it's just constant, isn't it?
At the pace that, like, some of these folk in the 24 hours are doing it in like 17 hours.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they. I think the first year I did it in 23 hours 32. This year I did it with 12 minutes to spare.
Oh,
I don't think I could go any faster.
no. So what is, for that 294.96, what does that pace equate to over 48 hours?
I'd have to look it up a little bit. I think it would have been around about 8-minute 45 Ks. I was aiming for between 3:30 and 3:45 minutes per lap.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've sort of recalibrated my mind after speaking to a few people into lap times as opposed to
pace. Yeah.
pace. Yeah.
And did you stick to that goal most of the time?
I did. I probably slowed. I probably did the first 24 a little bit slower than I was hoping to. Went through a rough patch about 10.5 hours in.
Yeah.
And I was more tired the first night than I was the second night, which
that's interesting. I wonder why that was.
Don't know. Because I didn't sleep at all. I think I nodded off at one point. I feel like I nodded off at one point.
Yeah.
But I was a bit slower in the first 24.
Yeah.
And then I was pretty consistent in the back end. So the pace I was trying to do the first 24 in would have had me finishing in maybe 22.5 hours if I had no rest, and I was a bit longer than that.
But then maybe that actually helped you to reach the bigger goal, not going out so hard at the start. Like, who knows? Like, that might have been actually a good thing.
A good thing, not a deliberate thing, but a good thing.
No. And we did speak about it before the race, about you trying as much as possible not to sleep.
Yep.
How hard was that?
The first night it was a challenge. The second night it wasn't an issue. The first night I actually nodded off, I think, standing up in the restroom.
Right.
I briefly nodded off. And then at one point, my Ingo, who was one of my awesome crew, handed me a drink, and I all of a sudden realised, oh crikey, I'm still walking around here. So I don't know what happened then. I haven't seen my splits yet, so I'm still waiting to have a look at that to see whether for a period of time I was taking a lot longer. Ingo says I wasn't, but for some reason I thought I was. Once we got through the first 24 and my second goal was looking possible, we decided that I wouldn't sleep until I'd managed it.
Yes.
And then if I did manage it, then I'd sit down and have a rest.
Yeah. But you didn't, did you?
Well, I didn't then, because by that stage, this weird thing had happened, and I was actually in the lead. So when I started out, I was at the end. I'm not, there's faster walkers than me. The runners were all faster than me. I didn't really care where I was coming because I had my clear goals that I wanted to achieve. And as the day went on, I sort of slowly worked up the ranks, and then the next day, all of a sudden I was sort of second and then winning. And so when I got to the record, I thought, well, if I just keep going, maybe I'll win this thing. Almost felt like a Steve
Bradbury.
Bradbury moment.
You did a Bradbury.
I did.
But that's, I mean, I still think, even for Bradbury, he was the best skater on the day, you know,
Well, yeah.
and you were the best at 48 hours on the day, whether you were a walker or a runner, because you basically beat all the runners.
Well, I remember talking to a guy called Michael, one of my other, another one of my crew, when I first started doing the 48 hours, and when I hadn't done it before, and so I didn't really know much about it, and 300 kilometers appears, seems to be a bit like a 3-hour marathon, a 300 kilometer, 48 hours, a sort of a nice magic goal to achieve, and I almost did that walking.
Yeah.
So, and when I finished, I thought maybe it's not too far out of the realms of possibility. So,
Well, I mean, I have to admit, I have wondered that myself now.
so and that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd be able to do it running.
No? Why?
I just don't think I think I think I get to, I don't know, I'm a biggish guy, and I think I'm just better suited to sort of the just perpetual motion type thing, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Not too fast.
Yeah.
I don't break down too much, touch wood, apart from my guts. But
Yeah. Speaking of, how did that go?
well, it was almost a record. I got to 10.5 hours before I threw up. And then
Because we talked earlier about, making sure you didn't have too much sweet stuff. Did that help, having a bit less?
I think that helped. It and I had some stuff that that was less likely to cause me problems. I've been training pretty well with it.
Yeah.
And also compared to all my other times, my heart rate never went too high.
Okay.
I always, in my mind, I don't know if it's right or not, I always think that I'm overheating, and a lack of fitness. I was a little bit fitter this year as well, thanks to you.
Which is good. But, and also, well, it is true. If you have a high heart rate, it is harder to digest food. So whether it's overheating or whatever, a higher heart rate does mean you will be more likely to have stomach issues. So
Yeah, and
you're right.
And I sort of, I had my goals. I stuck to them.
Yeah.
Last year I had my goals, and then David and Justin were there watching me, making sure I was walking properly. Also going for Centurion results, and I thought, crikey, I'm going too slow. I need to go faster, and so I went faster than I'd sort of ever gone before, and I think I blew up a little bit to the point where they had their doubts that I'd make it.
Okay. Yeah.
Luckily, to counter that, and they were just being realistic. They weren't being negative or anything. They were just voice of experience and guidance. There's another guy called Anise who's done quite a few of them as well. And he, every time I'd walk past him or he'd run past me, oh, you're looking so strong. Oh, you've got this. Oh, I could tell he was this most positive person in the world. And I think thanks to the three of them and their different ways of cajoling me along, I managed it last year. But this year, I knew what to expect.
Yeah.
I didn't worry about how fast David was walking or anyone else, and stuck to the plan and ticked them all off one by one.
So David Billett was there again.
Yep.
Yeah. And how did he go?
He got his Centurion.
Yeah.
The photo there is David and me at the 100-mile mark on the first day. You can see it rained on the morning.
Yeah.
So that sort of played a bit of havoc with
I can
our feet.
imagine. Yeah.
He ended up coming third, so it was really odd. So I won.
Yeah.
Walking. A guy called Greg Wilson, who's like a thoroughbred runner. He's pretty awesome. He came second, and he's 70 years old and beat Cliffy Young's 30-year-old records as
awesome.
the fastest, the longest distance in 48 hours and the fastest 200 kilometers. So those records have been around for a long time. He came second, and then David came third, another walker, and I think 270, maybe 200. 65 or 70. So, but yeah, it was great having it was good bunch of people around the track, and then watching Camille as well, of course, was
That would have been amazing.
interesting.
Did she talk to you at all?
No, other
She
than
was too focused.
too focused. It was hard. I'm a little bit deaf as well.
Yeah.
So she, I think she was smiling and waving from time to time.
Yeah.
But she was very focused. I think she went through a pretty rough patch on the first day as well.
Okay.
It was pretty hot on the Friday.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine she had much time to acclimatise here, so it would have
Yes, of course.
coming out of America. But just amazing.
Do you think that helped to motivate you a little bit?
No, I don't think so. I think it helped to entertain, like
Yes.
to see whether and it was a little bit distracting because we were asked to walk on the if we were walking to walk and we're walking the curves. Of course, we were walking the whole thing.
Yeah.
To leave the middle to leave lane one free for Camille because she was going for the world record. So it kept me occupied because I'd be constantly looking to see, oh, is she coming? Is
Yes.
she coming? And then to try and get
So
out of
were
the
you
way.
walking in lane two or you were
I
in lane one and moving out of the way?
both.
Yeah.
So Tim Erickson. I don't know if you know Tim. Tim's the fearless leader of the Australian Centurion group.
Yeah.
He came up to watch from Victoria to watch David and myself.
Oh, cool.
He when he congratulated me, he said, "Oh, well done!" And not only did you do it, but you did it from lane two. So
Yeah.
so it'd be interesting to work out how much further I ended up going by keeping out
Yeah.
in lane two. But
It is what it is. You didn't really have a choice in it, but yeah.
no,
Yeah. All those, it may not seem much to some people, but it all makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
well, David reckons it's about 7 meters per lap.
Really?
Um,
Wow.
we
That's
said that, yeah. So
And they
if I was
don't
out,
account for that in their measurements?
no, because they don't know. Like if they designated lane two for the walkers and then measured lane two and we stayed in lane two, then they would. So they used back when Billy Pearce used to run the event, kilted to
Yes.
kick cancer, I think. He used to have a designated walkers
Yeah.
lane. But with the Sri Chinmoy, with the walkers are just in amongst the runners, which is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is I did it when it was the kilted one, and I mean when I say I did it, I did the 12-hour. But yes, that's how I recall it, was that the walkers had a designated lane.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it doesn't bother you either way?
No,
No.
I just get in my own. I think you might remember I mentioned just beforehand that one of the things I love about the event is all the people that you see
Yes.
and talking to people.
Yes.
I did a lot less talking this year, but
Because
I still managed.
we discussed that because I said no getting too distracted.
But there are opportunities where I was at the same pace as someone else
Yeah.
and we could talk. And watching all the other races is awesome as well. Like we have the 24-hour event beside us, and one of my friends from my running group here in Canberra, Hayley Cuddle, she did 100 miles in her first time in the 24, and that was just awesome to watch the highs and lows as she went along that, and then nailed it. Watching Greg sort of motor around, that was pretty impressive. He was flying towards the end. I don't know whether that was the second wind or the 15th or something, but
yeah, probably the 15th.
He was doing well.
Yeah. And so do you listen to music or anything like that, or you just focus on what's going on around you?
Yeah, I know you're meant to focus on what's going on around you, but I distract myself a little bit. I had music on the first 24 hours,
Yeah.
and then that's the other thing that maybe the difference between the second night and the first night is the second night I put podcasts on.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Um, and so I was listening to the different podcasts. I can't remember what they were,
Yeah.
but rather than listening to music, which I can sort of drown. Like sometimes when I'm listening to music, I don't focus on what's going on, but with the podcast,
Yes. Yeah.
um, I'm trying to pay attention. Normally they have the Brumbies will have a home game and the Raiders will have a home game, and so I'll listen to them through
Oh,
my
okay.
headphones.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it just keeps me entertained for a couple of hours because you hear the crowd roar,
Yeah.
and then you can anticipate because there's like a 30-second delay. So
Ah, yeah.
um, it's simple things. I'm a fairly simple person, so it doesn't
I
take
think I
much
think
to
most
amuse me.
runners are. And how often did they get you to turn around on the track?
Every 4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so this year that we were back to fist pumping and high fiving. Last
Oh,
year
good.
there was none of that because of
No.
COVID.
Yes.
Um,
Was
so
that because it wasn't allowed or people just didn't want to?
people just didn't want to, I think.
Yeah.
And it was a bit mixed this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a good bunch of people, a different crowd than the last few years. There were quite a few different people, which was great.
As in new people?
Yeah, um, a few of the old regulars, but some new ones as well. A few returnees.
Yeah.
Big Steve Bingley was there. He's he's a machine. I don't know how he can move. He's a big, strong bloke.
Yeah.
Um,
What was he doing?
he was doing the run.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yep.
he did it a couple of years ago, and the thing I can remember about the time before was how bad his sunburn he got. Um,
Oh, oh, geez.
but um, but
And
yeah,
that's the thing, when you're on a track, you are fully exposed to the elements.
no,
Like you spoke about the rain, and that's the thing, like there is no cover.
no, it's and yeah, no cover from the rain, from the sun. It
Yeah.
glare it.
Yeah.
I don't normally wear sunglasses when I'm out running on the trails or whatever. But I put them on. You get the glare off the blue
Yes, I can imagine.
the blue track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when we were talking about food, so what did you eat? What sort of things did you eat?
So I was using I don't know how you pronounce it, Morten
Morton, yeah.
Morton
Yep.
gels. My main thing was SIS cis
Yep.
beta fuel. There's a powder
Okay, yep.
which has it's really quite mild, the orange one. And I was able to stomach that pretty quickly after I got crook.
Oh, that's
So that was
good.
my go-to thing. My secret fuel was I normally drink double espressos, but my secret thing during the run was very quite strong, very milky coffee or tea. Um,
Okay.
and I was probably having one of them every hour or so from the
And
time
so
I
you
got
didn't find
crook.
the milk was an issue for you.
No, it seems to soothe me a little bit.
Okay.
And as soon as I started doing that, I was nice and alert and didn't feel sleepy. A few Red Bulls, a bit of
A few
Coke,
what, sorry?
Red Bull,
Oh, yes. So,
Red.
but what about real food? Did you
Yep,
eat some real food?
I did. I'm trying to potato chips.
Yep.
Does that count? um,
Kinda. Did you have the rice pudding and those sorts of things?
I had a little bit of the rice pudding, but I had that at the time that I was crook,
Yeah.
and it didn't help, and so
Okay.
I sort of lost
Because you
interest
sort
in
of before the race you spoke about how that normally goes down
it.
all right.
It does. Soups. I had quite a lot more soup than I normally would. So they had potato
Okay.
soup and a cauliflower soup and
Oh, nice.
the miso soup. So that all went well. I had some potato once, but that that was a bit
Yeah.
so. And then I had some. Oh, they had. I had some super dupers, which are the
Yep.
long thin icy poles, and then they had on the first day because it was hot. They had like lemonade and cola,
Oh, yeah.
proper icy poles. So I had about
Yep.
4 of them,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
was
Which is all. Well, it's hydration and it's
yeah.
some calories and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, go on.
and then there was like a quiche. They had
Oh,
these little
nice.
quiche things with, and the Sri Chinmoy, they're vegetarian, so it had pretend bacon or something in it, and that was nice.
Yeah.
Once I got it, normally what happens once I get past the sickness, which
Then
happens every
okay.
time, I
Yeah.
I often come okay, and then
Yeah.
I can eat better.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, you're lucky then that you do.
And cheese toasties,
Yeah.
watermelon, lots of watermelon, heaps of watermelon. Um,
Once again, good hydration.
yeah,
And so you actually did vomit, like you weren't just feeling
yeah,
sick, you actually vomited.
yeah. And I don't know whether that's a mental thing, whether I just sort of think I'm going to feel better afterwards, and
Yeah. But
so
do you feel better after?
briefly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but no, I usually do feel a bit better. But so I probably vomited 4 times,
Oh
maybe.
my God.
Not much so, because
Yeah. You weren't putting much in.
they
Yeah.
uh,
And did your appetite come back? Are
mm,
you actually drinking espresso now?
mm,
Doesn't that keep you up?
nah, not
For
it
those
keeps
of
me
you
up
who are
until
listening, it's currently 7:45 of an evening, and you're drinking espresso.
it keeps me up until I lie down in bed and close my eyes, and then I go to sleep. So
Wow. I would be bouncing off the walls.
no,
Anyway, sorry.
yeah.
When did your stomach sort of go back to normal after the race? How long did that take?
Oh, after the race, it takes a while. I get really
Yeah.
bad, quite bad heartburn.
Yeah.
It's probably coming good now, like
Wow.
a week or so. Um,
Jeez, that's bad.
mm. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't stop me from eating or anything. I just get sort of, I have a few Enos and
So it's actual still heartburn itself.
mm,
So obviously your stomach is still inflamed and that sort of thing, I would say.
possibly.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. And so you said you got some blisters.
mm,
How bad were they?
um, my little toe, I don't think is ever going to be quite the same. Because I went in with a blister,
That's right.
and the blister was sort of around the end of my toe, and it went under the nail bed,
Oh,
and so we sort of I tried to tape it up a little bit, and when we did the first sock change at maybe 12 hours, it had all torn, and the nail was sort of floating about in the torn skin, and so we taped it up properly because we didn't want that to fall out and cause more problems. So then
sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's just we're talking about it so matter-of-factly,
I then just ignored that.
as you do.
I ended up with I get this time I got quite bad sort of bruising underneath the soles of my feet.
Yeah.
But there's no blister there yet, but I think that there will be one, like a
Sort of
deep.
like almost a deep, yeah.
Yeah. So it feels like I've got boulders in underneath the skin, but
Yeah.
now it feels fine. Like it doesn't feel. It feels normal now. I've just prized off both my big toenails today, so they're both gone. And then I had a few blisters on some of my other toes, but I didn't have any around my heel this time. So that was I was a bit more thoughtful in my socks,
Yeah.
and did a bit of strapping
Yeah.
and things. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and my left shin and ankle were almost half again the normal size. So I like just really quite swollen. They're
Yeah.
back to normal now, but
Yeah, because I mean, it is normal to get swollen, but after these big races. But do you find it's worse after the walking than the running?
yes.
Yeah,
And worse is, I mean, it's hard to compare this year to last year because I
sat for so long.
was pretty soft last year and didn't do much.
Well, I
But
don't think you were soft. I would never call you soft.
but no, this year I think just being being on my feet for so long, because the only sort of I had a deliberate 15-minute rest after the first 24 because David says you got to keep walking for the 20. Get your centurion and then just keep going until you get to 24. I would have just stopped, but
Yeah.
I did what he told me to do. So we both kept on walking. At the end of the first 24, the 12-hour people come out and join our two lane. So that gets a bit hectic.
Yeah, I bet.
We've been going for a day. They're all fresh and sprinting. So let them sort themselves out. Sat down for 15 minutes. Change of clothes, change of socks. That was really the only proper planned break that I had, I guess. The rest of the time it was sitting down to change my socks or shoes or change my shirt or so yeah, my right knee played up at the end. After I sat down for that 15 minutes, it was playing up, but then it came good after a few minutes. After the event, I couldn't bend it or straighten it for maybe about 12 hours. Next morning, it sort of came okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Probably just a lot of swelling and inflammation and all that sort of stuff going on, I'm guessing.
But it all disappears.
Yeah.
Heal okay.
Isn't the body amazing how it just repairs itself and, gets back to normal?
That's it. Just got to let it sort itself out, not worry too much.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to let it do its job by itself kind of thing without tampering too much. And have you done anything, speaking of, anything specific for recovery?
Have
you had a massage?
I did.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I did have a massage. I haven't had a massage in years and years and years. So I did that. The lady who did it didn't speak a huge amount of English, and so trying to explain to her, don't touch my feet, because it was on the Tuesday.
Oh wow.
So my feet were pretty tender.
Yes, I bet.
Then, but no, that was good. And I other than that, I just rested and didn't do anything much at all.
And that's the best kind of recovery.
But been for a few runs this week. Preparation for the marathon next weekend.
I know. Oh, crazy times. So how are you feeling for that? Because we always knew it was going to be a quick turnaround. How are you feeling?
Yep. So I don't know if you remember, one of my goals there was to see if we could do a sub 4 hour. I think that's I've thrown that out a long time ago, but I'm not concerned. I won't set the world on fire, but it's not about that. It's it's getting Lily out and involved and engaged in the
So for those listeners who don't know, Joffrid will be pushing his daughter Lily. And it's a special kind of
it's a running chair.
Running chair. Yeah.
So it's there's an organisation in America called Ainsley's Angels who build these things. And when we were living in the Middle East, one of my running mates there after Lily's accident, once he confirmed that Lily was keen to do these types of events, he fundraised to purchase a chair, and we still use it. So
awesome.
It's good. Lily loves it. She was in hospital on the weekend, and I was asking her again, you sure you want to do it? What do you get out of it? And she was she was talking about the inclusivity and the picking up off the energy of all the other the runners. And it's this is our 5th year doing it.
Oh wow.
And I don't know if you've ever run the Canberra Marathon, but there's lots of sort of out and back type areas.
So you can see people a lot.
Yeah. And we not last year, the year before, we just came up alongside a lady from Sydney, and we probably ran maybe 20-25 kilometres
Oh, cool.
just at the same pace, talking.
Yeah.
So yeah, she really enjoys it, and it just sort of helps to show, in inclusivity,
Yeah.
so that everyone can participate in these sorts of endurance events if they want to. It looks as though Lily's just sitting there doing nothing, but it probably takes as much out of her as it does out of me. So being a paraplegic, she's constantly having to readjust herself and move
Okay.
herself because of
Yeah.
pressure sores.
Yeah.
She's in an awkward position, so
Yeah.
it's mentally and physically draining for her as well. So
Yeah.
it is a feat of endurance for Lily.
That's right. And it's not like you're running on a completely smooth surface. Like she'll be bouncing around a bit in there, and so that will be uncomfortable too, wouldn't it?
That's it. And last year I think she knitted. It was a we used to judge how long it took us by how many beanies she'd knit during the during the event. So
And how many did she knit last year?
last year I think was two. Two, two and a bit. I think she got distracted talking. Takes her a couple of hours to knit one. So
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like we said, we're pretty sure that the sub 4 won't be happening. But I mean, you beat the Australian record. I mean, that's like, and that record, as we discussed, has stood for 13 years. So it's not like it was an easy record to break. It's been standing for a long time.
that's it. And no, it I was hopeful, but I again uncharted territory.
Yeah,
And as I said, longer than I've ever run. So
yeah,
that was
yeah.
pretty.
That is what blows my mind the most, because not only, and this, when we talk about, you won the Australian Championships, you won the 48-hour championships, the male, 48-hour championships, as in normally it's won by a runner, right? And you won it. So that is so cool. Like I just think that's awesome.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
It's I'm still getting my head around that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, like, so many achievements. And how did it was David, wasn't it? How did he feel about you breaking his record?
Well, it wasn't his record, but he was
Oh,
so he David has got he just set in the 6-day event down in Adelaide, I think.
okay. I must have my names muddled, but yes.
Yeah, no. So David has he got I think the 24-hour record, the 200-kilometer record, the
Yeah.
5-day, the 6-day,
So every other record.
every other record, but he missed the 48-hour one. The Barry Loveday has had the open 48-hour record.
Right. Yes,
And then a guy called Peter Barnett, I think, had the Australian residential one.
Yes, that's right, because he wasn't an Australian.
Yeah.
Peter Bennett.
So
Yeah.
So Barry sent me a message on Facebook, which was nice.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I think the first 48-hour I did, he was at or some of these guys, I just don't understand how they can run so fast for so long.
Yeah. No, an amazing athlete, and honestly, so are you. Like,
Thanks.
it is amazing, and most people, well, I'd say, yeah, definitely most people would find it incomprehensible being able to do that much running, let alone walking. So, and I challenge anyone out there to try walking at, not even 8-minute pace for 5K, but 8:30 pace for 5K. That in itself is super tough. Like, I challenge you, it's hard, like, it's really, really hard. So, yeah, I can understand why you find it hard, but trying to do that, you basically were holding, such a fast pace for walking for 48 hours. And I mean, most people would find it hard for, like I said, 5K. So, I've tried it and I reckon I walk fast, but I can't walk that fast.
And as I say, how do these people like Justin
Yeah.
and Sharon and David usually can just turn up and throw out, or maybe they don't just turn up. Obviously, that they do some training.
I'm pretty sure they might.
But do 21 and a half
Yeah.
hours to do. It's just amazing.
That is phenomenal. Like truly it is. But yeah, but they obviously just do that. They don't continue on like you did. So,
Mm.
that was and when the 48 hours came up and you knew you were finished, what was that feeling like?
Pretty so relief,
Yeah.
joy.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's probably those two.
Yeah.
Just the relief of getting my goals. That it's not too like I had as I say I had some specific goals, and I just know it's probably the only time I've ever really ticked off everything that I wanted to try and
Yeah.
tick off. So relief and then there's joy and happiness of being part of the whole
Yeah.
event, and seeing like it Camille's run, trying to explain to people at work, she before that event, I think there'd only been 3 women do more than 400 Ks.
Yeah.
And the record I think was 411. She did 435,
That is huge.
which is the third. Yeah, puts her. There's only 2 people who've ever gone further than her in 48 hours ever in
Wow.
recorded um, uh,
History of it. Yeah.
history. One of whom's Yanis Kouros, who just
Yeah.
freak,
Freaking.
just a
Yep.
machine. And then I think the other person's a Ukrainian guy who did 500 meters more. No, she was within 500 meters
Wow.
of being the second, and she I think before her run, Martin Fryer, who's
Yes.
an awesome guy here in Canberra, does all the timing for all the Sri
Yes, that's
Chinmoy
right.
events. I think he had the third result. So
Ah,
so he said he said that he was really really pleased to be able to hand that over
yeah.
and be there, do the timing for Camille to take
Awesome.
over that position from him.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
So,
certainly a worthy person too. Yeah.
so being part of that, like we all there's a bunch of us who all went and as we got around to the to where the record was for Camille, we all stood there and it's one of those things where I guess you always remember where you were
Yeah.
when it happened. So that was pretty special.
That is a very special. I mean, what an amazing event that was, that a world record was broken and an Australian record was broken all on that one
Yeah.
track in that one event.
Yep. And
Yes,
Greg
of
could have
course.
smashed, like
Yeah.
I think he beat the 200-kilometer thing by 6 hours or something.
Bloody hell. That's
Yeah,
huge.
just
Yeah.
yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, amazing times at the track at the 48 hour. And once again, congratulations and absolutely awesome, awesome work. And of course, good luck at Canberra. But really, ultimately, you've achieved your big goal. This is probably like a celebration run, if anything.
No, no. I just take a second, if I can, just to thank
Yeah.
you for your help and guidance and advice.
Yeah.
I certainly it's a team effort
Yeah.
in doing this, and having this was also the first time I had a crew.
Yeah.
I've never had a
Oh,
crew
I bet that made a huge difference.
before, yeah. So, Ingo, the 2 Michaels,
Yeah.
my wife Annette, and Ingo's wife Raylene, just again, I wouldn't have been able to do it
Yeah.
without the help and support of those people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as I always say, people seem to think of running as a solitary pursuit, but it absolutely is not. It's a team event, really, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All righty. Well done once again. And thank
thank
you
you.
so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure the listeners are absolutely gobsmacked at your achievement. Is there anywhere they can follow you or, find out a little bit more about you?
Yep. So I'm on Facebook. So that if you don't do it, but if you Google Joffrid Mackett, there's only me. So, so if you
Hard to
search for,
believe with that name.
so I've got on Facebook and Instagram, and yeah, my daughter's got a website for a fundraising virtual marathon that she puts on
Oh,
most years, but
awesome.
we,
Awesome. I'll get you to send me the link for that and I'll put it in the show notes. Okay.
yeah, no, awesome.
Yep. Yep. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I'm on Strava, of course, but
Of course. Yes. Everyone can see your amazing walks that you've been doing.
that's it. It was a disaster though. My watch didn't warn me that it was about to die, and it died at about 23 and a half hours. So I've got
Oh,
two
no.
Strava entries for the 48 hours. So
Oh, what a pity. Oh, well, what can you do? Yeah, it still happened.
that's it. That's it. Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Joffred. We'll speak to you later.
Thanks, mate. See
Bye.
ya.